Hey, we are looking at Twitter chats, and we're going to look at how to participate in a Twitter chat. I am going to be working with Schoolitics on Tuesday, August 24th at 5 p.m. Eastern. I'm doing hashtag FETCchat. And so I want you to be able to, here's the tools for how to participate in FETC chat or any Twitter chat. So let's go ahead and take a look. You do not need a Twitter account, but it is highly recommended. I highly recommend that you have a Twitter account, but don't feel like you need one to participate. In a Twitter chat, people are sharing ideas, and you can lurk on that, no problem, and get all of those ideas down. It's not necessarily participating. I guess it is participating. It's not active participation in that you're not replying and posting, but you do not have to reply and post to take advantage of all the learning and all the networking that you can do through a Twitter chat. Okay, they are usually about 30 minutes to an hour. Most of them I think are an hour, but some of them are 30 minutes. Usually Twitter chats are regularly scheduled. So like FETC chat is every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, and they have a different guest moderator each week. Some Twitter chats are every other week or once a month. They have some sort of a regular schedule. Very rarely are you going to see a Twitter chat be at random times. Because of course, the idea here is to talk with and have a conversation with educators who you don't necessarily know. Right? And so we come together on what's called the hashtag, and we'll get into that in a second. We come together around the Twitter topic or what the chat is, and everyone using this particular hashtag, we're having a conversation together. So that allows people from anywhere in the world, whether or not they know you, to participate, to interact, to have comments and conversations when you are on Twitter. It does take place on Twitter. A Twitter chat takes place on Twitter. So you will need to go to Twitter and use the hashtag. So on Tuesday, I'm going to be using hashtag FETC, capitalized, and then chat, not capitalized. Capitalization doesn't matter. It could be lowercase or uppercase. It really doesn't matter. But the letters do matter. FETCCHAT is what I'm going to be using this time. But certainly I do a lot of Twitter chats, and they all have a different hashtag. Sometimes I'll participate in hashtag SUNCHAT. That's on chat. I do SAT chat, SAT chat. And so that is on Saturdays, a SAT chat, and I believe it's a leadership. People who are doing leadership roles in education get together to talk about a particular topic. So FETC chat, that is Florida, that is Ed Tech. It's always going to be some really good topics with some really amazing people. So that's going to be a great Twitter chat to get started with or to go look up. Here's a tip, but it is not a requirement, is to use TweetDeck. TweetDeck allows me to have columns where I can track different things. So I'm going to go to tweetdeck.com and I log in with my Twitter account. And you'll see that I have a column for anyone who mentions me. I have a column for anyone who's talking about Google Classroom. And what I'm going to do is in the search box, I'm going to type in hashtag FETC chat and push enter. And that is going to create a new column at the end. So you can see how I can see all of the FETC chats in this column. Here's a really crazy tip. I actually do it twice. So I'm going to search hashtag FETC chat again. So when I search it, it adds a column into TweetDeck. So you see I now have two columns for FETC chat. And you're like, Alice, why would you want two columns? Depending on how many people are participating, it can go by really fast, right? It's moving and you're like, oh my gosh, this is going by so quickly. You don't have to read them all. You do not have to read them all. That's a very key element. Don't have to read them all. So I like to have one where I'm like paused. See, if I start to scroll, it pauses it. So I can look at it. I can read some people. I can reply to some people. And then I have the other one is in real time. So I can see if a new question has come through, if there's other people chatting and conversing. So what I'll do is I like to have the hashtag in the two columns. One's in real time And one is more like I'm paused and doing some reading without it feeling like it's, oh my gosh, I was trying to read that and it just kept going. So, you know, and then when I'm done reading, I'll scroll all the way up to the top and I'll skip a whole chunk of them. You don't have to read all of the tweets in the chat, especially one like FETC chat where a lot of people might be participating. There's just really literally no way that you can see all of the tweets, and you certainly would not reply to everybody, but you might want to reply to some people. You do not have to use Twitter. You don't have to tweet during a Twitter chat. You could just watch the chat. So you'll notice I'm on here on FETC chat, and I'm going to just scroll backwards. So we can see here, this says question 8 from 5 days ago. So this was last week's FETC chat. I can see all of the questions and the conversations that people were doing a week ago. So even if you miss a Twitter chat, that's okay. You just search the hashtag anyway, and you can see the tweets in not real time, and you can still reply to people asynchronously, right? 5 days ago, I'm trying to see if I can find a good one here. How do school-based or library-based esports teams find teams to play? I could still reply to this. I could still answer it 5 days later. There's nothing stopping me from doing that. I'm not going to have as good of engagement and interactions around that question 5 days later, but you can still put it out there, and it would be then recorded in the hashtag. So anyone looking up the hashtag would see your responses at any time that you participate, even if it's not live. Okay, so I like to use TweetDeck. It's definitely not required. That is my preference. So you can go to Twitter or you can go to TweetDeck. So there's a certain time that this Twitter chat is going to happen. So FETC chat is happening at 5 p.m. Eastern. So at 5 p.m. Eastern, and I like to put it in my calendar on the time zone. I like set time zone 5 p.m. rather than doing the math myself, because I will mess that up. But that's a personal problem. You might be much better at time zones than I am. But at the time of the chat, I just want to go to Twitter and I want to search for the hashtag. So I'm going to go to Twitter. And there's a search box up here in the upper right, and I'm going to do hashtag FETC chat and push enter. And you'll see this brings me to anyone who's using the hashtag. I don't have to be following them, and they do not have to be following me. So this is a way to interact with some new people. So follow everybody. Follow everybody who's tweeting on the hashtag. So during a Twitter chat, this is a great way to make new friends, get some new followers, and you follow some new people. I mean, you're following people who bothered to show up at a particular time to talk about education, assuming that the topic is an education topic. There's certainly Twitter chats that happen not about education, but of course, I'm a teacher and I talk about teaching things. So we're going to assume that all of our Twitter chats are about education, but they certainly do not have to be. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to search, I'm going to see who's chatting on it, and I'm going to click on them, and I'm going to follow anyone using the hashtag. If later you're like, you know, they put a lot of pictures of their cat and a lot of things about tacos. I love cats and tacos, but I'm really looking for more information about formative assessment or teaching tips. Don't feel bad about unfollowing, but you've got people who are really passionate about wanting to participate and interact with people. So it's most likely that all the people on this chat are worth following, most likely. So I just follow all of them. That's one of the recommendations that I have. Okay. Now notice that when I was in Twitter, it defaults here to, you see where it says top. These are the top tweets, and they're not necessarily in order. So you see this one was 6 hours ago. This one was 51 minutes ago. This one was 3 hours ago. This one was 2 hours ago. This one was 36 minutes ago. They're not sequential. When you talk about the top tweets, it's looking at how many impressions they got, and it's sorting it by popularity rather than sorting it by time. So you can see when you're trying to have a conversation and a chat, and it's not sorted sequentially, you're going to miss the recent ones because they're obviously not yet popular. So you're not going to see anything current if you're on top. So you want to click here on the next tab where it says latest. So I want to see them sequentially. The latest tweet 18 minutes ago was me inviting you to join me for FETC chat. And then 37 minutes ago, I was making this slide deck with some tutorials on it. So I tweeted out a tip on using Twitter chats. And then 49 minutes ago, I was, again, still working on this presentation, and I'm sharing out some tips. 50 minutes ago, 52 minutes ago, 1 hour ago, 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, 6 hours ago, 8 hours ago. So you can see how when you click on latest that it is time-stamped with the most recent ones at the top. Now, if you are in TweetDeck, again, where you do the search on here on the left, search hashtag FETC chat, it adds a column. Those are all time-stamped in order. They're not top tweets. They are the tweets as they happen, which is, again, why I like to have more than one column. I will do 2 columns because I can keep one in real time, which might be going very fast, and then I can pause on another. Okay, so come on back here. Oh, this is the key to doing a Twitter chat is you have to have the hashtag. Because you remember, you're trying to interact with people who you don't follow and you don't know. And so the only way that you are able to see each other's tweets is because you're both using the same hashtag. So 100% of your tweets during the Twitter chat have to have the hashtag. Even if you are replying to someone, put in the hashtag so it all gets put into the chat conversation record. Whoops. So you can see here, I started off with, hi, I'm Alice Keeler from Kansas. I'm a math teacher and I'm a developer for Schoolitics, hashtag FETC chat. So before we get into the questions, they will most likely ask you to introduce yourself. So this is a great opportunity for you to follow people. So the very beginning of the chat, you would like to have ready. I usually would just start my tweet and I have it ready to go because I know they're going to ask. Introduce yourself and make sure you put that hashtag on there. Now, as you see these tweets coming in, hi, I'm Kimberly from Michigan. Hi, I'm Barton from California. Follow all of these people. Follow all of these people. Another thing you might want to do is whoever is the moderator. So I'm here in TweetDeck. I'm going to put at Schoolitics. Schoolitics is running the Twitter chat on Tuesday. And then I'm guest moderating with them. And so I'm going to type in the at for who the moderator is. And I want to add a column. Wait a minute. How did I do this wrong? This will teach me. I haven't done it in a while. I should be able to on these three, on this little filter thing on here, tweet author. There we go. So I have hashtag FETC chat. Make sure you have multiple columns. See, this is my third column. And I'm going to say specific user at Schoolitics. Okay, it'd be really great if I spelled it correctly. At Schoolitics. Here we go. So now in this column, I've got only tweets from the moderator using the hashtag. So that way I don't miss the questions. So what I did is I searched the hashtag. I added a third column. And in that third column, I click on the little filter icon, and it says tweet authors. And I put in the specific users, whoever is the moderator of the chat, so I do not lose the questions. I know who the moderator is. Okay, the moderator is putting out the questions. So even when replying to others, use the hashtag. So my tip is to copy the hashtag to your clipboard. So the first thing I do is I make a new tweet, I push spacebar, and then I do hashtag FETC chat, select all, Control-C. Now I have spacebar and the hashtag on my clipboard. So I make my tweet, Control-V. Make my tweet, Control-V. Reply to someone, Control-V, 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 because I want to always, always, always use the hashtag. Alice, I sent out a tweet. I forgot to use the hashtag. Okay, I quote tweet myself. I retweet myself. I retweet myself with just the hashtag. So I just take my tweet that does not have the hashtag, and I do a quote tweet, and the quote is the hashtag, and then that puts it back in the mix. So that is my tip for what happens when I forget to put the hashtag, because of course I sometimes forget to push the hashtag. We all do. But if you forget the hashtag, you are not part of the conversation. So make sure you always, always, always include the hashtag. A chat has a series of questions, and you're going to want to find the question. So the first thing that's going to happen is the moderator is going to say, "Hi, I'm Alice Keeler. I'm your moderator tonight for FETC chat. We're going to be talking about formative assessment. Please introduce yourself and use the hashtag." And that's what I showed you before, where I said, "I am Alice." I use the hashtag, prepare to do that. But then once, a couple minutes in there where people have introduced themselves, what you're going to see is that the moderator is going to put out a tweet that uses Q1. This means this is the first question. It's question 1. It should say Q1 colon. That's what it should start with. So you're going to be looking for Q1 colon. If you can see this in my sample tweet, will you be participating in the Twitter chat? So some questions going to be put out. So what you're going to then do is start a new tweet. I like to push N. So notice this, when you're in Twitter, you push N, it creates a new tweet. Quick and fast keyboard shortcut. So I see the question, I press N, and then I type A1 colon. I have a slide on that. Reply with A1. So when Q1 goes out, we know that that is the question. Then everyone who's replying to the first question replies with A1. At some point, they get mixed up a little bit. People join the chat late, or they just were late in sending their response. So you're on question 4, and someone's replying to answer 1, to question 1. They're answering 1. Honestly, that works great in a Twitter chat. It's a really fun way to be synchronously asynchronous, is that I can still see and reply to answers from question 1, even when we're down on question 4, because I can tell what they're responding to. We don't have to like, "Oh, dude, we've moved past that." No, it's fine. You can respond to any of those questions at any time. See, if you end up joining a Twitter chat late, probably you want to find the latest question, reply to that. But you can also scroll down, find question 1, question 2, and you can throw in your answers. Question 1, you do A1, A2, A3, and A4, fire them in there and get caught up, or just pick up where you are when you joined. Or mix and match, right? I might answer question 1 and then answer question 4 and skip 2 and 3. That's really no problem, because when you do A1, A2, A3, and A4, we know what you're replying to. And one of the things I will tend to do, especially if I'm answering late, is I will quote tweet the question. So instead of just starting a new tweet, I quote tweet the question. So I'll come over in here. So you see here I have Q2. So when I click on here for retweet, I have the option to retweet or quote tweet. So you can quote tweet and then do A2, because then you see the question and the answer together. So it is totally fine to quote tweet the question and reply with A2 and have the hashtag. You cannot get away from these two things. You must put the A2 and you must put the hashtag, even if you're quote tweeting the question. This keeps everybody on the same page as to what you are replying to. You're replying to question 2, and this is the chat, FETC chat. When you quote tweet and you don't include the hashtag, you're like, well, the hashtag was in the original tweet. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. It doesn't capture the hashtags out of the original tweet to basically reuse them when you quote tweet. You still have to include the hashtag every single time. Come on back over here. So the second question is going to be released with a Q2. So you're going to be on the lookout for that. The Q2, so you're going to see that is under latest, unless of course you're using TweetDeck, and it's going to be latest anyway. And you're going to use the hashtag. So it'll be on the hashtag, and then you're going to reply with A2 and reply with the hashtag, et cetera, et cetera. Then we're going to see Q3, and you're going to reply with A3. And there should be somewhere between 4 and 8 questions, probably, depending on the length of the chat and some of the intensity of the questions, if they're a quick answer or if they require more thought. Okay? And the last thing that I have for you is, just as I showed you, you can always go back to the hashtags. If you missed the chat, you can go search the hashtag and see what you missed. Or, you know, sometimes it goes really fast and you're struggling to like just keep it, you know, don't reply to everybody. Don't read everybody during the chat. If it's a lot is going on, you can't do it, you can't do it. It's no big. But you might want to go back later, get a cup of coffee, and slowly scroll through, go backwards, go all the way to the bottom, and then scroll up so that you can see all of the tweets that maybe you missed, and you can still reply even days later if you'd like to. You can retweet. The biggest compliment on Twitter is a retweet. So if you really like someone's response, retweet them. And you can do that the same during the chat or days later. You can go through and retweet those responses. Okay, so that's all I have. That's how to participate in a Twitter chat, and I hope to see you online on Twitter.